Well, hello and welcome. I think the main, because we have a panel discussion, and said, I think these guys went through the struggle environment eventually and into everything with being in the work environment. Maybe recap what was happening in the last weeks, so we have that on record.
Thank you, Mark. Karen and myself. This is for you also present and the presence of all the work that's culminated by being a student here. And the fourth one was that infamous interview, what to expect. Fifth workshop, we are sharing with you the
and then kind of like praise them about like what like their firm really interested in it. And then what I send to them, usually I didn't send my portfolio. I send my resume, cover letter, and work sample forward and easier for them since they have a lot of. Maybe you can show different types of my previous internship.
Or kind of what we're gonna do. Otherwise, you can just skip this slide. As you can see in this image, we do mostly curved walls, curved beams. Yes. Or maybe. Oh well, we don't see the video of the projects, but maybe later we can. You will see the model, so that will work too. So this is kind of the office, very messy. I try every day to clean it up, but then the next day there's more paper and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm sitting at one of the chairs. It's very narrow and very bright, but it's nice and cozy. So as I said, it started 4 years ago as an intern. Yeah, he was then 70, I guess. So yeah, so what am I doing during the day? So he gives me sketches, and I will just translate into drawings. So these are one of the sketches. Some of them has measurements, some of them don't. I have to figure out the stair width and how many threads and yeah, just start from there. As you can see, a pool addition. He gives some sketches. I will work it out. And mostly it starts with roof beams, because we're mostly using curved roofs and very intriguing, sometimes in two curves or every curve in another direction. So we just lay them out. And we never really easier to do it in. That's kind of what I'm doing. And then it was the so yeah, those are the models. Some of them are and no laser cutting. This is one of the first projects I did all by myself, talking to the client because I was a good friend of him, and he did already multiple houses. This is one that we are working on right now. You will see some of the pictures later. It was one of my first models I made as an intern. This is the most recent one. It's a apartment complex or condo in Brisbane. Some other one at the coast. And then this is one of his models as well. So as you can see, very curvy. So then we, when the client is satisfied and the building department is okay with our ideas, we're just going to do civil drawings. Some of them I make myself, some of them we go to a consultant. Foundation plans I do myself. After a while I know what to do and what he wants, so I just do it, and then he will check in on me and see if we do it right. I will go to the structural engineer and see if it really works or if we have to make the walls thicker. As well as planting. They want to have a landscape plan, so that's what we do too. we don't really need a consultant for that. We just like to do it indoors. As well as contacting the suppliers, the window factorer in China. I will contact them, send them this, they will send us the shop drawings and we check them together, and then when I think it's okay, I will go to my boss and say, hey, this is the price, this is what it is, do we agree? And I think especially because over such a long time period that I'm working already there, he trusts me, and I also feel comfortable in doing so. And then we go to the job site, putting on the polls to see for the town meeting as well to see if it is, okay. So my boss goes every day to the job sites, and I go once a week, especially, or I haven't been in a long time because it was raining, and with my shoes I don't really go into the mud. Yeah. Some of them are framing, yeah, or boots. Yeah. Here you can see some of the framing work of the roofs. We're just using glue laminated beams. So we make them on site, and sometimes we have to test them. So this is the crew with the boss, and they just put sandbags on the roof to see if it would hold. And so this is also part of the daily basis. So even though I liked it so much and still do love it, I look forward to a new experience. And so I was very honest to with my boss. And if you can click on the video. So I will just show you my portfolio, and while I'm showing it, I will just tell my experience of the interviews. So the first one I did an interview with was with Seoul. They contacted me and say, hey, we are interested. Your name came up. Would you like to meet? And I said, sure. Because you just graduated, you want to do maybe something else, because where I'm working now is just my first experience, and I think multiple experiences are better. So I just showed them my portfolio. It was very nice, just very casual. Then they mostly ask you what kind of programs are you using, and then you just explain how many layers you're used, and and then also they ask you what is intriguing about your projects, or what did you interested in, especially with my thesis, because we were so aligned with their philosophy and my thesis. So we talk mostly about that. Sections, they love sections, so I didn't put in that much, so please do more. And also very important is they want to see collaboration. So this was one of our projects, 450, I did together with John Castaneda. And they were mostly interested about, so how did the communication went with the two of us? What is your technique of kind of using your ideas but also his, and how are you collaborating in that sense? And also to say maybe your idea is not as good as mine, or vice versa. And especially how you deal with that. That was most of the questions that they asked me. So yeah, I just show them my work. And then I also did another other interview, what was also very smooth, I would say. It was just a nice conversation. Especially also because you want to know them and they wanted to know you. So therefore, just ask questions. Don't be afraid to say wrong questions, because from the internet you can get a lot of information, but not everything. And I learned a lot about the firm, and even more about their structure, because that's what you cannot see on the internet, I would say. So I believe this is my last few slides. And then, so while you're going to your interview, you have your portfolio book, and I also brought my thesis book that you can just show and that are very interested in. But also to bring an envelope. If you take Mary Scott's class, the professional portfolio class. Oh, thank you. So then go to the next slide. Oh, thank you. So first you start with your cover letter. Actually, the cover letter here is just one that I made through or during the class. I never really used it because it wasn't necessary, because previous instructors came to me and they asked if I wanted to have an interview. So therefore, it was already very informal. Um, and then, yeah, just your resume. As Dennis said earlier, just show your experiences, your skills, and maybe also a small introduction about who you are. So then, yeah, I just gave him kind of a small package with the kind of the same layout. And then some work samples as well. I did 5, just to show a few of my work. And especially also, if I go one back, if this is your collaboration project, also name your partner's projects as well. It's very important. Don't claim it that it's all yours. What is fine. So, yeah, I just put in some words because I think that's very important to kind of give away. Be curious. There are a lot of people around you that are interested in you, and if they ask you or send you an email saying, hey, we are interested, do you want to meet? Sure, even if you're not known about the firm itself, just see what happens, and maybe something will happen later. Or maybe it doesn't really work out in this firm, but maybe they know someone else that is interested in you, so then you get all the connections. LinkedIn is a great tool to stay connected. And be prepared. I have these folders, a few prepared, so when I had the interview and they asked me, I was able to say, okay, maybe tomorrow or the week after, and I was ready to go. So that's something to take away. It's very important. Stay friendly, not only to your interviewee, but also to the receptionist. That's the first person that sees you and that meets you, and I believe they're really gonna talk to them and say, hey, what was your first impression? Maybe not only the receptionist, but maybe everyone else in the firm as well. So don't think the interviewee is the most important person. Stay loyal, and that kind of goes back to where I'm working right now. I was very honest and say, I'm already working here 4 years, but I'm looking for a new experience. So maybe in the next few months I might go somewhere else. So I will do interviews in the meantime. And he said sure. He was very interested in what kind of firms I was choosing, and also it makes it much easier because you don't have to say that you have to go to the dentist, because you're not going 3 times to the dentist in a month, right? So that's very important. And also because and that goes to the next one, you have to be patient. It takes a long time sometimes. They have to wait, and I'm still waiting for one of my opportunities. But because of that, and that's what Dennis was saying, 3 months before you graduate, you have to apply for your OPT because it takes 3 months. In December, I wanted to go back home for Christmas, so I had to apply even earlier to be on time with my OPT. What means that I have only 90 days after December, or actually it started already before December, that you have to find a job and put in the paperwork. So I was kind of on the edge of not having the paperwork because I didn't want to ask my current boss, because I thought I have already another job in January, but I didn't. So I asked him and say, sorry, but I still need your help for the paperwork. And he said, sure. And that would, be loyal because he likes you, and then he wants to do something back. And even it was so positive that he said, okay, what is the next job gonna pay you? And I said, oh, it will be around this and this, and the other firm offered me this. He said, oh, I think you just got a raise. So you never know what happens, right? And most of all, be yourself. If you're not yourself during the interview, where would you start? Right? They like you or they don't, and if they don't like you, then you're maybe not the right fit. So just be yourself, be relaxed, and then you will become successful later. Materials. So the high quality. The book is Blurb. I like the service of Blurb. And just the rest, yeah. So thank you for your time.
I graduated, specialize in about your project, go pet her, and you'll be happy. And my thesis project. And when you put stuff together, it's important to put, I call eye candy, something pretty, because they will, if you catch somebody's eye, they will still look at your project around it and see, oh, what did you do? I'm interested. Let me take a look. And your board has to speak it like itself, the idea. And this will be the great example for the fourth year studio housing project with my partner, Mike Donahue. And then when you go to job interview, they will ask you, how did you work with your partner? How did it go? And it went really well. And if you're lucky, or if you work hard, you'll get into spring show. That's the photo from 2016. And that's my website contact. I always leave this on my business card to have everyone have access to the website. So after people look at it and interested to me, they can send me email. Like, are you interested? And I have some cards and resume example to share with you guys if you need an example to take a look at it. And after you get a job, how to keep up, how to survive in the firm. Try to study outside office. When you get home, just don't go out and I'm gonna grab drink with friends and just go out. Yes, you wish. Maybe only on Friday. Take notes when your boss tells you something that you think it's important, or doesn't matter, just take notes because you might need it later. And ask questions. If you don't know, ask them. But just don't keep asking questions. Before you ask anything, you should at least look up and try and spend 5, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Then ask questions. And then watch people, like your mentor or your boss, how they work, like what they talk about, and obviously how they answer the question. Like if you go to the meeting or job site, they might ask you something. It's like, hey, what is this one? How do you gonna do it? How can you confirm it? Are you agree with it? If you're not sure, even 1%, don't say, oh yeah, this is correct. Don't say that. Tell them I'll get back to you. I think that will be the best answer because you're not 100% sure and you don't want to give a wrong answer to them. So if you're not sure, check in with your boss or go back to office, check with the drawing and call them, say, hey, I checked drawing. This is the answer. And don't wait for somebody to spoon feed you. Just don't sit there and say, where's my work? Look for it. And look for what you can do. There's always plenty of stuff to do in the office. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Luna. First, I'm going to introduce my office. I joined my office since last year. I worked there since I started with my CPT. And my office is California-based, and which has 2 offices. One is in San Diego, one is in San Francisco. And mostly they do the urban planning and the retail, and some of them do the healthcare. And the job that I do the most is mostly the mixed use and retail. So this is the 4 of the projects that we were working on. So the first one, City Line, that's the most that I was working on. So this project is based on the urban planning. It was in Sunnyvale downtown, 6 blocks of planning with theater and retail and apartments. So this project takes long time, and since I asked them, the files they start from 2011. So until now, they're still working on that. So I remember I was working for their presentation books. the version that I do is from the version O to version T. So imagine who did the version A to rest of them. So that's the one of the things that I think is also different from the school, because the school is once you done your final presentation is you feel you're done, you finish everything. But in real life is some of the project, it feels like it can be never done in a way until they really like build the buildings. So I feel like in the office, the most thing is sometimes I do the different things. So sometimes they ask me to draw a plan. So we use AutoCAD. So because I was working on the urban planning and sometimes it's the building design. So sometimes I learn how to draw parking. It sounds so easy, but depends on the different city. Sometimes my supervisor will ask me, oh, check the dimensions. For this city, it's different. And sometimes you need to even think about handicap. And also think about, oh, what's the landscape and how the curves, radius. So that's how details will go in the real life. And sometimes I also draw some elevation. So elevation, mostly they use SketchUp. And for that one is, I remember in the beginning I was not really familiar with that software, but you need to, it's kind of like pressure in the beginning, but you need to keep on and practice. And then in the end you will get it. So for the elevation, that is mostly is focused on the materials, and sometimes they ask you to pick a color. So I say, oh, that's really fun job. I would like to do that, because sometimes you're tired of watching, use the AutoCAD only lines. So once time and my supervisor asked me to, oh, pick color for this wall. And then I said, okay, finally. And then they said, oh, go to the back library and find the color, and mostly use Benjamin Moore. Okay, I went there. There was 4 big files. And for the color, it's like they have thousands of colors. I said, wow, that's even like more color than we do in the manicure. I said, okay. So I have to open that and do that and until pick few selections, and then ask my supervisor. I said, oh, do you think this good or not? And sometimes it's just different. Like once my supervisor showed me that once you pick a color and then they pick the material in the site, and in the site is you also need to know which side do you want to put these materials. For example, if it's in the sun or it's facing to the north, because they will look totally different. And so, and the last part is I do the presentation prepare. Mostly like that's like what I mentioned is from AutoCAD, Photoshop, sometimes SketchUp, and in the end, InDesign. So it's if I these days, so every time repeat. So and the different then sometimes the file is huge. So in AutoCAD, they the AutoCAD into and it's automatically definitely connect to your or your instructor, just bothering them and ask them again and again. So I asked my friend, he told me, oh, in the new, we need a junior. Do you? I said, yeah. Obvious, I also apply. So them as applies. I don't remember my and work samples open in So, and then as soon they so they kind of just to hire me. I was lucky they gave me, so I went there because keep talking my project. And I was the old one, they will reject you. The last is if you want to travel, so be prepared and don't forget sign I-20. I experienced one to sign my I-20. The officer said, so I went to, hey, there's so many people waiting there. I waited for half hour as the asked me, what do you and beef. So I really don't
project and figure out kind of like the glass panel and even the color of the glass panel. I didn't show the whole thing. We have a website for this whole project. So this is a small terminal. In this project, I learned a lot of things about airport. So airport is more about circular luggage. So basically, this one stands for airport rescue. This one right now, from what was their expectation, they kind of like the client have specific requirement or drawing sent to agency mostly. So the process, and this way I choose a company. I want to choose a company with projects, with multiple project types. So I don't know if you're really interested, you want to just do housing. If you really don't want to do this. The next one is you have good layout skill, and you very good management, because in company when we do the last one is be a team player, willingness to work with other people. Be very, you have your, and also your design is your final point. But visa, OPT, and H1, remember to do that. I'm the first one to talk about this. A lawyer, and he detailed and the resume. Everybody, degree in, sure you have all of them. Prior work or previous.
It's on the second floor under the atrium, and it has a kind of weird-shaped facade. You can see the bar with some old. Normally we this stainless steel surface. Slow, it's at 9 foot. They dropped the I was trying. This is the PDR. It's the existing plan showing the current layout. Storage. We're gonna use up. Yeah. So scissors for the seating plan. We propose Union Jack, yeah, that's for sure, and acoustics sliding panel for the room and also for the entire area, so they can enclose the PDR and open it as needed. So these sketches I did for the client, the Union Jack, the relationship. So and this is the. So I want to show you as I went through this project, because I want to show you like how on their network, then set up some future goals for your career so you can know like where you're heading to. And I think that's it. Thank you.
From the scale of dignity to many different kinds of projects is down to the red glass. Questions may be and graduates from just recent to 2.5 years.
Parents like either interview or
Having the interview, they were international. So I said maybe I will go back home and maybe go be clear if you want to stay there longer or not, and open about it. Yeah.
Transparent. I told them when I was at interview, I told them I want H1B.
What Elizabeth Tippin teaches you, but what is in the real life aspect that you see are
Answer. If anything happens, just and you can't solve it, go ask, and then don't make same mistake many times. Just I personally
in your career development.
I'll be just honest with my boss because I can't really lie or hide anything. Just go up to her and ask her, I want to be full time after, and then finally I will.
Also knows you a little bit. To be just like work related, so just based on my.
You still have to study.
I think the one thing is student, and he was very he wasn't comfortable enough of am I doing it right or wrong, and because you know a lot already.
Yeah, do